Hello. Hello, hey, Catherine, Ronnie. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Detailed Amsterdam number 38. Can you believe it? Phew, it's really fresh today. It's about 3 degrees, and that's centigrade. So that's about, hiya Trisha, Natalie, hey Tom. So that's about, I don't know, 36 Fahrenheit or something insane. Anyway, that's why they call it winter. Hey Donna, hi. Hello Sandy, hello Jackie. Let me show you, that's enough looking at me. So, okay Adrian, hope it's a good visit. So, later, when we do the quiz for the slicey, I realized last week that actually my chat is wrong and your chat is right. So you all are going to be the people who decides who gets the answer right. Okay. Anyway, so here we are, and we're still on the Keizersgracht, the Emperor's Canal today, and I'm gonna start off with a little story about this funny building on the corner here. It's very unusual, and it's not normal for Amsterdam. It's very modest for this part of town as well. And as you maybe can see, it's called Café Brandon. Okay, now the original building was built in 1621, and it had already, as you would expect, a sort of a step gable. So nothing out of the ordinary. Let me get a nice view of the gable here. Just a regular old stepped gable like so many did. And behind it, because it's this one building here and then it's a few down here, behind it was a brewery called the Emperor's Crown. And there's a map, a beautiful map of Amsterdam from 1625. Let me show you that map. Here it is. And this was by a guy called Balthazar Floriszoon. And it actually shows the bridge is kind of where I am. And oops. And there you can see that there's actually a crane on the quay side that was used for hoisting the beer barrels from or to the boats. So how's about that? Try and get this off the screen now. I think I zoomed in a bit too much. There we go. No, it's not the apple pie place, Donna. It's not. It looks a bit similar though. I could see why you see that. Let me get this ugly parking sign out of the shot. Okay, that's a bit of a better view. Natalie, hi. Okay, so this gable's a bit different. We've not seen one like this before, I don't think, in our travels. I've certainly never pointed one out, and it's got a funny name. It's called an OG gable. And the reason for that is this is the OG shape. Okay? It's a bit like an S. And if you look at the gable, you can see how the one side of it has got that shape like that. And it's mirrored. So that's OGEE. Funny word, isn't it? OG gable. Not a lot of them in Amsterdam. Okay, now the story about this place is that there was actually a cafe on the corner of the Blaubergwal and the Keizersgracht. And that was one of the two places that was hit by bombs when the Germans were invading in 1940. And we saw that on another tour, but this is just a little reminder. So this is the corner where there was this injured German plane that was jettisoning its load, and it dumped all its bombs and it bombed out that corner. And there just happened to be a cafe on that corner. Okay. And it was obviously pretty destroyed. And what happened is that the owner of that cafe then bought this one here. And that was in 1942. And what he did is he transferred the ownership to his son-in-law, who was called Jan Brandon. Okay, and the thing about Jan, his son-in-law, now being a business owner, that meant that he was safe from being called up to German work camp. Now, Jan and his wife ran the cafe until 1988, and then they shut up shop. They were getting older and they lived upstairs, and until they passed on. And then in 2001, it was opened again, and the interior has been kept as it originally was. I've heard various stories that it had to be because of some sort of will thing, but I don't know if that's really true, if they just did it for fun or not. And I have a video inside, so let's see if I can crank that up. Here we go. So, in we go. Tapperij and Slaterij. And Tapperij is a place where they tap a beer, and a Slaterij is a place where they would have actually sold booze before. And it is a really wonderful sort of just overstuffed place, as you can see, things absolutely everywhere. And beautiful old bar, eh? I mean, that really is how a brown cafe should look. The stalk here, that's because the Ooievaar was a Geneva distillery. We actually went many weeks ago and to where that was, and many bars were called that. I love the videos. Good. And then there's a second room here. This used to be the billiards room. The billiard table's long gone, but you can see how the walls are really stained with tobacco smoke. Thankfully there's no smoking inside anymore. There's the billiard cues all over the place. A lot of stuff from pictures of royalty and stuff. So they're pretty keen on the House of Orange here, or the people were before. So that's all over the walls. It is a very nice place to come for a drink, I must say. Comfy chairs. No, not the comfy chair. And then really kind of a funny little pulpit in the corner. So much detail in here, it's really lively. Just discovered, Gary, this cafe, or just the brown cafes? There's a bunch of nice brown cafes to visit. Donna and I actually went to a lovely one when they were singing old Dutch songs last time Donna visited. Anyway, and this is now looking out that window at, oops, that building over there. So, here you go, Cafe Brandon. No, you can't smoke inside any businesses now, Laurie. Which means it's great if you're traveling, because you don't need to take new shirts and new everything for every day, because they don't smell of smoke anymore. Okay, next. What do you think of this? Isn't it strange? Kind of doesn't really seem to fit, certainly with the proportions. It's really high. And also the materials are a bit unusual for the canal belt. Let's have a closer look. There's a mural on the side here in mosaic. And it says here, shoot, hang on a sec. Eerste Hollandse Levensverzekeringsbank. So the first Holland life insurance bank if you're going to go to a life insurance bank, obviously you would want a guardian angel. And that's what that's talking about here. And on the front of the building, there's another picture right up at the top. It's too high up to see, so I photographed it from across the canal. And here's again, same kind of story, same sort of thing going on. Okay, now, sorry, let me just make sure the car doesn't run me over. Okay. This building here was built in 1904, 1905, and the style is Jugenstil, which is the more German version of Art Deco. Or Nouveau, what am I saying? And it is 37 meters high. For a long time it was the highest privately owned building in Amsterdam for many, many years, and it actually has a concrete construction, so it was very modern for the time. It's just clad with stone. And it was controversial. In 1963, somebody wrote in a historical guide to Amsterdam, they wrote this of the building. Okay. The beautiful canal image at the intersection of Keizersgracht and Leliegracht with the Westerchurch in the background is seriously damaged by an architectural misfire with obtrusive colours and a tile tableau, which the insurance company believed to be proof of its solidity, but only demonstrated the appallingly bad taste of its directors. What a thing to say. I mean, the poor building. Let's have a look at some of the lovely little Art Nouveau flourishes above the building there. And I don't think it fits too badly, but let's oh, there's somebody coming out. Let's just ooh, my hands are so cold. Have a peek inside. Right, so it's much airier. Perfect. Oh, hello, Ruth. It's much airier inside than you would think. And yeah, lovely details. I mean, check this out. This lamp. So yeah, quite a lot of space, a lovely central staircase going up, lovely artwork on the walls, and it's home to a bunch of different businesses now. So I put to very good use. I love it. It's really nice. So many of these buildings from the outside look like they'd be a bit gloomy inside, and that's just not the case. I asked if I could go on the roof, but it wasn't possible. Here's a little Escher-esque thing going on here, don't you think? Anyway. So, let's see. Gonna end with a story about this building here, so it's quite nice to see it from a distance. Interestingly proportioned. Okay, so on to a completely different topic now. We're now coming to the Westermarkt, which is the square in front of the Westerchurch. Hey, hello Todd. Here's the square in front of the Westerchurch, okay? And it's well known now because it has a monument here. And I'll show you the name of it. The name always sounds a little bit weird in English, but it's not weird in Dutch. It's really fine in Dutch. It sounds in English it's a bit denigrating. And it's called the Homomonument. So let's have a little read here. commemorates all women and men ever oppressed and persecuted because of their homosexuality. And you can read the rest of it. Now, it's been here since 1987, as it says down there actually. And there are 3 pink triangles. I'm standing on the one, and I've got a photo to show you, just kind of as if I was standing right up in the air. This is where I'm standing, but I've done is just coloured in where the actual triangles are so that you can see more easily. Okay. Now, the 3 triangles represent the past, present and future. Oh, I thought I'd reduce that. Sorry, you can get rid of that picture. Oh, difficult. Okay. So here is the triangle on the ground that is representing the past. And it has a line from a poem by a gay poet. In Dutch, the line is, but it means in English, such a boundless craving for friendship. And what this does is it's actually pointing, I'm sorry about the containers, to the Anne Frank house, which is just around the corner over there. Now where I was, the triangle that's going out into the canal, that is representing the present. And that is pointing to the National Monument on Dam Square. And the one that's shaped like an obelisk. And once upon a time, somebody actually asked me if that was a gay monument, not entirely unreasonably. And this one here, which is standing up proud, sort of raised up, represents the future. And this is pointing deeper into the Jordan district, and that is towards the COC, the cultural and, well, it's a Dutch acronym, and it was the acronym for the world's first gay rights organization, which is down there, and that was formed in 1946. And right next to it over here is Pink Point, and this is where you come if you visit Amsterdam and you want to get all the up-to-date information about where to go out in the gay scene, and gay maps and gay like all sorts of souvenirs and that type of thing. I took a little video inside, so here we go. Love the bicycle. And Todd works there, and Todd is really friendly and will tell you everything you need to know about where to go out and what to do in Amsterdam. Okay, so I'm just charging backwards and forwards over this square because there's all sorts of things to show you. I just thought kind of, hey Alex, welcome. I thought I'd show you a house where many people have lived, but Rene Descartes used to live, and a really important philosopher. So this is it over here, the one with the chandelier in the window. And the kind of Louis XIV Dutch classicism gable. And there's the commemoration plaque there. And there's also one over here. And here's a translation of it. I think, therefore I am. Since I wanted to think that everything is false, I realized that it is necessarily true that I, who thought that, am something. There you go. I think, therefore, I Amsterdam, as this stupid old joke goes. Anyway, I'll just show you that. Now the Western Church, the great big church here to my right. I noticed as I was walking up that there's some skulls underneath the entrances on this side. This is actually, generally in other churches, that's meant is that the doorway was used as a funeral procession doorway. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case here. It might be, because Rembrandt's grave is through there. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. But excuse me. And the first stone of this church, the foundation stone, was actually laid in 1620. Because remember, this church was in the Jordan district, huh? So it was a newish district, built from about 1614 onwards. And the architect was Hendrik de Keizer, who designed so much. Again, here's this ever-present symbol over here of the pelican feeding its young with blood from its breast, symbolizing the Eucharist. And also it was a symbol taken by the Sephardic community here when its three congregations merged. So yeah, great big church. We've spoken about this before. However, when I spoke about it, it was before I was using Prism and before I was dealing with taking little videos to share. So I went in there and I took some footage. So head round to the front door of it. The church tower is being renovated, and that will take years, no doubt, as these things do. So they try to make it a bit more interesting with stuff like this. Always a great big rainbow flag from the tower on Gay Pride. Also because the parade, the Gay Pride parade, goes straight past the front of the church. The little annexes, yes, Polly. It's a thing here with churches having little shops and stuff as a skirt around them, and they would often give these to widows and poorer people, particularly widows where the church had a responsibility to look after them, where they could supplement their own income by having little businesses at very low rents. But here's the entrance through the tower. And let's see. So this church is open to the public, and the first service was way back in 1631 at Pentecost. And it's actually the largest Protestant church in the country, purpose-built Protestant church in the country. And the tower was completed in 1638. So big cross form, as you can see, big wooden vaulted ceiling, and the ceilings were generally wooden vaulted, so that wasn't so heavy, you see, because these churches are built in a swamp. They didn't have good foundations. And here's an organ. The organ went in a bit later, in 1683. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Anyway. That's a kind of Baroque detail. The organs are often a bit fancier than the churches. And the crest of Amsterdam. More Baroque. Baroque and roll. And this is the first class seats, okay, where you get your own little box. And then coming down here, the pulpit on the left. As you can see, it's all very simple. There's no stained glass. I mean, this was built in the 1620s, and the idea was moving away from stained glass, just God's light shining in. and the focus on the words. So this is why the pulpit was always in the middle, and the focus of the congregation was meant to be on the minister and what he was saying. These really typical Dutch church chandeliers feature a lot in Dutch art as well. A particular painter who used them to make a trick of depth, a sirendom, in all of his paintings. Now this is a commemoration to Rembrandt, who was actually buried in an unmarked pauper's grave. But they've put this plaque on the side of a pillar inside the church, and they took this particular shape of plaque because he had that painted in the Night Watch. And then he is buried somewhere over here. That's how they commemorated. He was considered to be the greatest Dutch artist. So, yeah, nobody knows where still. Okie dokie. Now, this building over here on the corner. Oh, actually, I can do it from down here. Oh, it's a public urinal here. Let me get that out of shot. Okay, this building here this is what it used to look like before. So it was actually designed by Hendrik de Keizer. He was busy. He designed the church. He designed so much. And the buildings on the corner there were actually designed by him, so that would have been probably orange brick with the step gables and what have you. And then that was broken down and replaced by this. So let's see what you all think of this. So it's Amsterdam School architecture in its period. In style, rather. It was actually slightly later, but it was in that style. Now, you know how people didn't like the corner building on the other corner. Well, quite a few people weren't too keen on this one either. What was said of this one is that it was a rattling, drunken concoction of randomly grouped bricks. I mean, ouch. Why don't you just tell us how you really feel, you know? I think we'll see from the other side of the canal. In a way, it's like two bookends, you know, the Astoria and this one. So maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, Mozart also, yeah. Terrible, isn't it? These great people that should end up that way. Crazy. Okay. So the architect of this building here, his name was Van Arkel. He did quite a lot. We've seen a lot of his stuff. And he actually had to resign from the city's aesthetics committee because of the scandal of this building and how badly received it was. It did, however, this building galvanized people, and it led to the formation of the Hendrik de Keizer Foundation. And that's based in Bartolotti House, where we were just a couple of weeks ago. Now, also, back in the past, you know what I'm loving about researching these tours is that I keep learning stuff that I don't know, you know. I stumbled across this building here. Check it out. It's so pretty. And it used to be here, where I'm looking forward now. This is what used to be there. And actually just right on top of Pink Point. Okay. So, very pretty. You know, a little Renaissance building. It's called the Westerchurch. It's where the Civic Guard had their offices upstairs. And then when the little weighing house on Dam Square was broken down by King Louis Napoleon because it spoiled his view, downstairs in this building they had a weighing house as well. And yeah, it was just considered not to be in good enough condition to restore, so bam, off it went. And what a loss. Anyway, and now for something completely different. This bridge here, is one of the temporary bridges. We've seen a few. We saw the one over the Keizersgracht some weeks ago. And that's because they're doing a lot of work on the road just beyond it. So they made temporary bridges over the canals, and they've routed all the gas, electricity, water, internet and stuff while they fix up the main bridges. Now the artwork, there's actually artwork in the side of this bridge here, and you can see it much better at night because it's illuminated. And do I have it? Oh, you know what? I forgot to load it. Let me just quickly load it up from my photos. Oh, here it is. Add. Here we go. So here is this bridge at night. And it's actually a whole lot of couples. Okay, so the artist was a woman called Linda Verkijk. And these are famous loving couples that she took from art. Think of Klimt's The Kiss, couples that Rodin featured. And she was very happy for the artwork to be here between the gay monument and the Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk, so the Church of Our Lady, as both of these, she said, were about love and tolerance. So this really comes out at night, as it were. And oh yeah, if you could, how do you say, if you could like this, that would be great. Like the video. Say anything in the comments below. Hopefully something nice. YouTube likes it if people leave comments. But what I wanted to show you from this angle here is another picture of the long lost Westerchurch. Oh, not that one, sorry. Rest here, because you get to see it with the church behind as well. Cool building, isn't it? Okay, and from the bridge as well, towards the end of last year, from this spot is, I took a photo here, which is from the trance day of remembrance. So the gay monument is used as a place of celebration, but it's also used as a place of so I can hardly talk, my face is getting cold. Remembrance, where typically if wreaths are laid at the National Monument, they'll be laid here as well. And in the case of the Trans Day of Remembrance, this is when all over the world the names of all the trans men and women who have been murdered that year because they are trans are read out, and then candles lit to them all over the world, and that's what happens here. So this is just before the triangle ended up being sort of covered with candles, one representing each person who lost their life. And on a happier note, for many years, this over here is where they used to have drag queen Olympics, and which has got two Bigfoot stilettos. Okay, so successful they've had to move it somewhere else. But I've seen years ago like drag queens doing synchronized swimming here in their wigs and stilettos, a 100-meter sprint in stilettos, and handbag tossing, and you name it. So it's a really cool spot. Still lots happens here during Gay Pride. And one of the last things I want to talk to you about is this house here. Let me just get in front of it. So, the house is known as the Cooymans House. Cooymans was a very, very wealthy family, and the house is built for the brothers Balthazar and probably pronounced Johan here, J-O-A-N. You would say Juan in some places, but I'm pretty sure it would be Johan. So this was built as the family home of that family. Now their father had fled from Antwerp And when that fell to the Catholics in 1585, and in 1631, Dad Balthazar, was the second richest person in the Dutch Republic. And that was from his trading with Spain and Germany, and a bit of banking on the side. Okay. His sons took over, and then they had this house built. So there's two houses, one there and one there. And they were also fabulously wealthy. And they both married Tripp sisters. And we stumbled across them in the Keizersgracht. And just to remind you, this is Maria Tripp, immortalized by Rembrandt. Isn't she a beauty? And actually this painting is phenomenal of Rembrandt's, because if you just look at the lace, let me zoom in. The lace is just the technique that he had, and of course she's dripping in pearls. And this was a painting painted probably showing what a good catch she was in marriage. Now she married one of these Balthazar brothers, and her sister married the other one. A good way of keeping the money in the family. Oh God, I can't get rid of this picture, hang on. There. And as I said, these brothers were remarkably wealthy. In the 1600s and about 1650, their business turnover was 4 million guilders a year. So they instructed Jacob van Kampen to build this house. And now he'd probably visited Italy in the 1620s. And when he returned, he sort of combined the Renaissance styles of that time that he'd come into contact with in Italy, and combined them with the use of bricks here, the heavy use of Dutch bricks in the Netherlands, and voila, Dutch classicism was born. Now, his most famous work is the City Hall on Dam Square, now the Palace on Dam Square. Okay. And as I said, two front doors, and there was actually a dividing wall in the middle, so it was a semi-detached house if you think about it. Anyway, let's have a look at the drawing of the time. So this is from an old canal book. And just make that a bit smaller so you can get the whole house in. Okay, so what you can see here is there's a lower ground floor, which is kind of typical of Italian buildings at the time. And then on the first floor, you get longer pilasters, which are sort of like columns, but not real columns. And then the second floor, shorter ones. So I'll zoom in and have a look at those. Okay, so. Okay. So these are Ionic capitals with what's called volutes on the sides, so the curly whirly things. And you can't quite see the pattern in the middle, which is egg and dart. And then further up are what are called composite capitals. And these are a combination of the Ionic ones, these actually at a slightly different angle pointing out, and then acanthus leaves. So let's get a picture of that close up. So this is what they look like, the ones I've circled. There's the Ionic ones, the one at the top, and then the slightly more Ionic look to the right of that, where they stick out a bit. And then the Corinthian one bottom left, and then the composite one that they've used up here. Okay, so that's a close-up of what the capitals look like. And oh yeah, let me just show you, up on these buildings, I think it's such a shame that they're gone, because on these windows on the second floor used to be pediments, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So you see here, all the way along, the one window has a triangular pediment, and then the one next to it has what's called a segmental one. Think of it as like the segment of an orange, triangular, segmental, and so on. And what I'm going to do is show you next week, I'll show you a building that's just got triangular ones, and you see how boring it is. And you see how much more interesting it is to do it this way. And it's been done this way for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Anyway, they were removed in, when was it? excuse me, 1780, the pediments were removed. And the facade was plastered because bricks were out of vogue. And then later, in 1931, the plaster was removed and we could see the bricks again. What they've done here actually is in the stonework, they've painted it. Now I think this is quite interesting because the stonework here, the capitals and the architraves and the cornices, are Bentheim sandstone, which is the same sandstone as the Palace on Dam Square, and the Trip House for that matter. And in both cases they're heavily, heavily damaged by the decades of heavy pollution here and stained black. So what they did here is they painted it the colour it would have been. Now there's been about them doing the same thing on the Palace on Dam Square, is actually painting the stone because it can't be cleaned. So I don't know if that'll work or not, I'm not sure. Now, next week I'm not doing a detailed Amsterdam. However, I am going to take you to a surprise location where I will happen to be. And I'm going to start with a house just like that, but much grander. Built on exactly the same principles, inspired by the same Renaissance architects. The other one's not built by Van Kampen. So that's where I'm going to be next Monday, if you want to join me for a surprise. And all I need to do now is think of a quiz question. Because I didn't really prepare a quiz question beforehand. And this quiz question, just to update you, is to win a slicey. And a slicey is a cheese slicer with googly eyes, which is my mascot and my logo. So if you've already got one, then don't answer. Let somebody else have a go. Okay, I think I've thought of a question. Now, and you will let me know who's first in the chat because my chat's not working so well for this. Okay, I have actually thought of a question just right now. So, let's make sure you're concentrating. Now, at the beginning of the tour, I showed you Cafe Brandon, yeah? Cafe Brandon. And Cafe Brandon was transferred by the person who owned it into his son-in-law's name so that his son-in-law would not have to go to which different country. So he transferred it into his son-in-law's name so that his son-in-law wouldn't have to go to somewhere not the Netherlands. He wouldn't have to go to a different country against his will. Is the quiz question of today. Have a look at the canal. Are you thinking about it? No, it wasn't France. Okay. It wasn't France, no. I do have another Delft slicey. I have another Delft baby slicey, which is going to be coming up soon. It's a mini one, so it's kind of like the next generation of sliceys growing up. Not England, not Denmark. Germany! Margaret Mills has it. So, Margaret, I don't think you've won one yet. Am I correct, by the way? My chat is sometimes different, so just do confirm with me all your side. Is Margaret the first person to answer Germany? And if so, Margaret, please give me your address. Oh, let's just see. I don't... Okay, Margaret! Great. Okay, so Margaret, in the description of this tour, you can find my email address, mark@thattimeguide.com. So if you could email me somewhere to post it, I will do that for you. And you'll get it through the mail very soon. I can actually do that tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for joining, everybody. If anyone wants to make a donation, there's Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal in the description. Much appreciated. You can certainly donate it to the next person, or Margaret. I forget who I've actually posted them to. So if you could just sort that out, and that's fine then. So Margaret will donate it to Barbara Z. Awesome. Okay. Hopefully I'll see you next Monday in the surprise location. It will be 1 hour later. I put all the next 10 tours on my YouTube thing, and it should be on the traveling virtually that thing. What is it called? Together Virtually. As well soon. So hopefully see you next week. Bye bye everybody.